when you were thinking, hey, I've got this level of oppression on me or this ceiling on me, you look over at them and say, they've got it a lot worse.
Oh, for
and
sure.
there's so much that I can do to help them. Is that where you kind of were coming from?
Absolutely. And I think that is, those humbling moments that you have in life. And even still today, I think that having perspective is really important. I think if we did that more as a society, there'd be a lot more compassion and understanding in this world. And I think that's something we're really lacking right now. That was just, I had to let go of my ego.
Here we are with another episode of the BLTNT podcast, where we're bringing you business, life, technology, and transformations of some very interesting people. And we have Amy Peterson, who I would lump into that category of interesting people. So thanks for being here, Amy.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you for the opportunity.
Honored. Okay,
yes.
Good. That's a big, some people say I paid them $20, so they arrived. So, but you're honored. So thank you. All right. So, this is a real fun episode. I'm imagining that we're going to have here together because there's so much passion behind what you're doing out in the world today.
No pressure.
No pressure. You got a ton of pivot points. You got a ton of things going on. My little brief intro, if I was to explain Amy Peterson to people, I would say serial entrepreneur, founder of Rebel Nell, community builder, wife, mom. And we're going to be talking about parenting, purpose, hustle, and the hard truths of entrepreneurship. And especially when you couple that with social entrepreneurship. So, how would you explain yourself and maybe talk about some of the ventures and organizations that you're affiliated with right now?
Yeah, I mean, you did such a great job summarizing it. I
had a note though. I mean, you have to give me some, take away some credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, I never imagined that serial entrepreneur would be how someone would describe me. But here I am. I mean, my life is completely pivoted from what I thought it was going to look like at the age of 14. But I do agree with that. I think
you are over 18 now though, right?
I am just slightly over 18. But I love where life has taken me. And even to be living in Detroit, that wasn't necessarily on my bingo card. But I've been here almost 18 years and I'm enjoying the ride, and it certainly is a ride.
Good. Well, tell me about you're on 4 rides at minimum right now, right?
Let's see. So I'm the founder of Rebel Nell. It's a social enterprise in Detroit. We exist to provide employment for women transitioning out of shelters in the Detroit area. And we make unique, one-of-a-kind jewelry and corporate gifts. We also do on-site experiences, repurposing meaningful material. And I can dive into that later, but we're really, what the hot term is, not that I knew this when I started the company, is this triple bottom line company. So that's what Rebel Nell is. I also am the co-founder of The Congregation, a community space in the Boston Edison neighborhood in Detroit. My husband and I took an abandoned church and turned it into a coffee shop and bar, but truly like a gathering space for our neighborhood where there hadn't been anything in 50 years. It's right at the epicenter of the 1967 rebellion. So giving a space for our neighbors to come together and to, no pun intended, but to congregate and, learn more about each other. I'm the founder of a nonprofit in Detroit called Teach, Empower, Achieve that focuses on workforce development. And soon to come online is a pizza place next door to the congregation that will be called The Rectory. I'm also mom to a 9-year-old boy who's a DJ and a wife to an incredible man who helps me with all these bonkers ideas.
Great. Oh, so you mentioned that you are kind of far away from where you thought you would be.
Totally.
And when we were talking the other day, you said that you thought that you were going to be the first female Major League Baseball general manager. That's what you had your sights set on.
Period. End of story. That's all I was ever going to do.
All right. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I set out, honestly, it was at 14. I was like, that's what I want to do. Sounds amazing. How do I kind of navigate to that path? So, I went to college and then I went to law school, I went to business school. I was, spending every summer interning, whether it was in the minor leagues or in other sports. I was just trying to get a better handle of the industry, wanting to wrap my head around what it would take to be a GM. And then, not to belabor the point, but I applied to work for every single team. I have still a box of rejection letters at my parents' house. I should say every single team. I did not apply to the Yankees in good conscience. I couldn't do it. It's a true story. I applied to every other baseball team. And I have the box of, this does show that I'm slightly older than 18, because we actually got real letterhead, not just emails.
Nice.
So it was so cool because I had, the Pirates rejection letter on the cool letterhead. I had, the Mets rejecting me on the letterhead. And
how old were you when you sent out these
I was in law
letters
school,
applying?
so 22, 23.
And were you just offering your services as general manager?
No, yeah.
Or did you aim for something more?
I was willing to work
position?
for free. I was really just trying to get a foot in the door. I was applying to be an intern, willing to go anywhere, work for any team. In fact, I had 3 rejection letters from the Tigers before I got the opportunity. And that's what ultimately allowed me the opportunity to come here. I got an internship.
Where were you before though?
Where was I? I was finishing. So I did law school and then I did my MBA in Boston. And I was moved to Columbus for a brief period of time to help with a family company, and all while still applying. And then so it was technically from Columbus, I moved to Detroit.
But where'd you grow up?
Jamestown, New York.
Okay.
South of Buffalo.
Okay. So what was the baseball team that you were rooting for as a kid? I grew
up, great question. So we're like at this center point. We're right at the toe of New York, right? And everyone just assumes I'm one of the New York teams. So I have to clarify, like we're just south of Buffalo, just over the Pennsylvania border and pretty close to Cleveland too. So it was really between the Cleveland Indians at the time and the Pirates, and my grandpa, who was my best friend, was a diehard Pirates fan. So that's
what you're aiming for.
I was a huge Pirates fan.
Okay. And then you came here.
Mm-hmm.
And how long were you with the Tigers, and what'd you do?
I was with the team for 11 seasons. Started as an intern in community affairs and quickly was hired as a coordinator. Very fast after that, I was hired as a manager in sponsorship services.
What's a coordinator do?
So coordinator for the Tigers. Oh man, what did I do? I handled a lot of autograph requests or donation requests. If people had a fundraiser, making sure there was a commissioner's initiative and we gave out a lot of tickets to local nonprofits. What else in that time? I organized the back storage room.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Helped plan the winter caravan. But it was really great. I had an amazing boss at the time, Jordan Field. He's the reason I'm here. I still am grateful for him every year. And he let me do more than what was kind of in my job description because I was begging for it. I wanted to learn more. If I noticed we didn't have a contract for something, I'd be like, hey, can I draft something up just so we have it? So I just did a lot of extra stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
What I definitely want to talk about what Jordan did for you in your career, but intern coordinator, walk me through where else do we get to?
Intern coordinator, then manager of sponsorship services, making sure that all the contracts that were agreed upon for sponsorship deals, that we were executing them appropriately. Then I moved into associate counsel, and that's where the job got a little more expansive into the baseball operations. I helped with arbitration for many years. And that was fun stuff.
So you had a law degree
mm-hmm.
and took an internship.
I had a law degree and an MBA and was like, please just let me work for free.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know. It's not like I didn't have money to be working for free. I just wanted to be, I knew the sacrifice I needed to take to get a foot in the door. And
did you have anybody behind you able to support you with a place to live or anything like that while
no, but
you were doing this?
I mean, my parents, yes, were somewhat helpful for sure. but it also, kind of reflects of, the Detroit now versus the Detroit then. And I remember signing my lease and they gave me 2 months rent free. I mean, nobody was moving to Detroit in 2007.
Sure.
There was so many places to live. And that's why I'm forever grateful to the city too, because I had an opportunity to pursue my dream and could afford to live walking distance to the ballpark. Tell me another city where you could have done that. You're not doing that near Fenway. No. You're not doing that, in
near Wrigley, nothing.
No way. So, there was such a unique time to be in the city when that wasn't a popular time to be in the city.
Yeah, but I mean, how cool to take advantage of that.
I loved it.
I mean, hindsight,
so
that
cool.
got you going.
Yeah.
Wild. So where did you end up before you ultimately left the Tigers?
So I left the Tigers and I went for a really brief period of time to work for RISE, the Ross Initiative in Sports for Equality, run by Stephen Ross. And I was there for 8 months. And that was a really cool experience as well.
And was that a nonprofit? Okay. So, but what kind of gave you that kick to say, okay, I'm walking away from this whole dream of working in Major League Baseball? Obviously, you adjusted your sights throughout, right?
Yes.
I mean, you adjusted from I'm going to be not going to be a general manager any longer.
Yes.
Right. But I'm working in the business, which obviously made you happy and fulfilled quite a bit. But there was something missing.
Else. Yes.
And what
I had started Rebel Nell at that point in time. So I had run Rebel Nell as because everyone in Detroit, the Detroit hustles harder is true. Like everyone's got a side hustle. So Rebel Nell was my side hustle. And I would do it in the evenings or when I had spare time. I had this vision. I was living at the time where I lived in Detroit was right next door to a well-known shelter. And so I would come home from the games. And I worked 24/7 at the ballpark. And so I'd come home, I'd have a dog, I would walk the dog, get to know these women, learn their stories, hear their journeys. And at the time I was frustrated with being a woman in sports. There were a lot of limitations that were put on me as far as how far I could go. And I was able to, I think, channel that. It wasn't intentional in the moment, but looking back on it into creating Rebel Nell, because I was like, well, I want to just uplift and empower these women. I'm going to do that. So
did it ever make you look and say, when you were thinking, hey, I've got this level of oppression on me or this ceiling on me, you look over at them and say, but they've got it a lot worse.
Oh, for
sure. And there's
sure.
so much that I can do to help them. Is that where you kind of were coming from?
Absolutely. And I think that is, those humbling moments that you have in life. And even still today, I think that having perspective is really important. I think if we did that more as a society, there'd be a lot more compassion and understanding in this world. And I think that's something we're really lacking right now. But to go back to, your original question of, when I left, and that was also a part of it too, is like I did go over to RISE for this little stint. And I thought that was going to scratch the itch for me. But what I realized, I don't know if I've ever told anyone this, but so much of that was I was afraid to let my ego go. Like I was afraid to go all in on Rebel Nell, because by going over to RISE for this little bit, still had that cachet. It still was in sports. But ironically, when I went over there, I could see Rebel Nell. Like it was literally out my other window. I could see where we were manufacturing. And I was like, but it had the salary, it had the benefits, and I was still in sports, but it was far less time. So I could devote a little bit more. But it wasn't, and that was just, I had to let go of my ego. I really did.
Tell me, explain more about what parts of the ego, like what was the ego telling you at the time?
I think, being Amy from the Detroit Tigers was something I had.
Part of your identity.
Part of my identity. Yeah. And I was proud of that. I worked really hard to get it. And I wasn't sure I was willing to
work for free for a while to get it.
Yeah.
Really.
But even all the stuff I did beforehand and, working the summer internships and all the school, that was all intentional. And I know how hard it is to get in sports. I know how hard. So I think part of me was afraid to step away from that, identity, to step away from what I had fought so hard to get into. that I took that little leap over and thinking that was going to be enough, but it wasn't.
And you thought being Amy from Rise and accomplishing these things,
like I still worked with a lot of sports teams. I was still, I was vice president and I was general counsel.
Explain what Rise is too, so we understand this.
And that face was just because I want to make sure I get the mission right. It wasn't a great experience. So I just want to make sure that I was like the Ross Initiative in Sports for Equality was focused on doing exactly that. We worked with a lot of sports teams in different areas to, number one of my major roles was educating both fans and the teams about the importance of registering to vote. Like having a voice.
Interesting. Okay.
So I would often go to different stadiums and talk to the teams about registering to vote. There was no party affiliation. It was just, exercising your right as a U.S. citizen. So that was really interesting. Doing a lot of D&I work with the teams. And that was something that Mr. Ross was very passionate about. And so it was really cool to learn about just that particular area and how much work needed to be done. So yeah, that's what Rise does.
Got it. So I took a little bit away when you were talking about, you were having some of the ego was being met with the, I'm Amy from Rise. Mm-hmm. And then what was the piece that then finally like shoved you over the edge and is like, nope, I'm Amy, entrepreneur. This is what I'm doing.
I realized like I wasn't being true to myself. Because I still wasn't able to devote all the time over to Rebel Nell. And this step was a half-ass for me. And I needed to go all in. Like I needed to try it and let go of the fear. And I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was it at a time when you were able to take a salary from Rebel Nell?
I mean,
or no?
Sure. But we're talking like, a fourth of what I was making.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. So just enough to not even cover the bills, probably.
Correct.
Okay. Wow. What would you say is the biggest piece of advice that you would have for somebody who, like you, is feeling the call for something else and, is either, like you said, half-assed doing it or is not doing it all, but knows it's out there for them? What would you say?
I think it is important to like, don't quit your day job right away. I think figuring out that the finances is an important part of the leap. Like I had worked really hard to build up a savings, knowing that I wasn't going to make, I still haven't caught up. No, still nowhere near it. But I love what I do. And you don't go into entrepreneurship for the money. You know this. Mm-hmm. Like, sure, maybe someday it will come, but that is not why you do it. And if you think you're going into entrepreneurship for the money and like you're going to be on your own time, you don't leave.
Correct.
Do not even think about it. Because I hear that every now and then, as I'm sure you do. And I can't help but roll my eyes because it couldn't be farther from the truth. But you have to have such a passion that it just drives you through those moments where you don't even think about it. That to me is what, I mean, and then I start, after you start all these businesses, you start to understand like the investment world too. When people start saying, well, they're investing in the person, not necessarily the business.
Absolutely.
That's what they're talking about. And that took me a while to learn that, but I get it now.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing when someone does it, the honor of it too, the humbling of yourself where you're like, oh, wow, they really mean that.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, when as you get, a couple of years on you and you've seen the different businesses and all of a sudden you say every business idea has some level of merit, right? It's the person though. Is the person going to stick through what it's going to take? Because no matter how good it is or whether it's a novel idea or whether it's something that's been done 1,000 times before, it's all based on the person who's leading the charge.
Absolutely.
So, wow.
Wait, how have you gone through those times?
I just ask other people questions. That's what I do. No, I'm just kidding. Well, rephrase that a little bit. How have I gotten through the times of?
Because it's your passion, right? That powers through these different hurdles that we have. But I feel like sometimes you got to dive even deeper. Like, what are some of your tips or tricks?
Well, I mean, I always just try to consider myself unemployable. So I figure no one else is going to have me. I got to do this on my own.
Yeah.
And so these are all negative tricks that I have in my head. So I'll warn you with that.
Okay.
I also just tell myself that I'm broke every day.
Yeah.
So I never get caught up in we had a good, I celebrate it for a moment. If we had a good month, a good quarter, good year, good sale, whatever it might be. But I don't live as though I'm, as though it's all coming every day. Now that being said, I do try to balance that with the abundance mindset, though, that something will come, right?
That is the trick. I think that's something with entrepreneurship too.
But I think that's why so many entrepreneurs, bipolar is like the number one disease of entrepreneurs and CEOs, anxiety, depression, all these things. Cause I do think that we're all head cases in some way, shape, or form. So,
I
think that's how you, a little bit of mental instability keeps the whole thing together, because how can you play on both sides of it? I don't know.
But that's very true. That's very true.
What do you think inspired that dream of being the first female Major League Baseball general manager?
Sponsored by.
Yeah, sponsored by.
Maybe we can get
Yeah, that'd be nice. If General Motors, Mary, if you're listening, certainly we're open to your sponsorship dollars.
I was so close with my grandpa growing up, and we had and my father too. They just really instilled in me the love of baseball. A really small hometown team, independent league. We would go constantly. It's still there. Now it's the Tarp Skunks, Jamestown Tarp Skunks. So there you go. Hopefully they're...
Who's the PR person that came up with that name?
I think my dad did have something to do with it. We're still really involved in this team. And because it was like a family of tarps that used to live like in the roll,
Yep.
That you pull out during a rain. And so when they needed a new name,
that's how
they came up with it. I just remember really at a young age, all my friends or all the other kids would be like running around the stadium because it was really small. And I just learned to score the game, and I loved to pay attention. And I learned the art of the game and from my grandpa. So that was why, really.
That was it, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. And was there an actual moment? Like, did you have like an aha moment or an aha day where it was like, I got to give this up. I got to go do my thing.
It wasn't an immediate, I think it's dealing with that ego piece was really critical for me, but I liken it to like the inner tug, right? We feel it. And I was quieting it for years. And I was like, nope, I'm here and baseball, this is what I'm doing. And then it would just get louder and louder. And then it was like, all I would think about would be Rebel Nell, or when can I get to it? When can I, have those breaks to start working on it again. And then finally it just got so loud. But I think it took from maybe the moment where I was like, maybe I should go do it to the actual leap was about 2 years.
Okay. I think people often, just like they say every overnight success has been 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
You might achieve a certain level of success over 10 years and all of a sudden nobody really, the public doesn't see it. And then all of a sudden it feels like you've just appeared.
Yes. Kind
of the same thing happens with these change moments, right? Is that they're really kind of like across a continuum, and they're gradual. It's never smart to walk in and tell the boss to shove it and I'm going to work, I'm going to go start my own nonprofit, and I think that's the misconception.
I agree. I think that there's a lot more thought that goes into it than what is perceived, especially, my God, in this world of social media, like what I see on Instagram of like, I'm starting my own business and poof, look at it, I'm making millions of dollars since I started it on Monday, and that is so not reality.
Yeah, I don't know too many people that it's worked for like that.
It hasn't worked for anybody. That person's lying.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Rebel Nell then, because this is your passion. It's your number one. I would say it's your number one passion. I guess if I'm guessing. I mean, it's probably like your children, though.
Yeah, it is my. It's my baby.
One child, but
one child.
But you can't. If you have multiple, you can't love any one of them more than the other.
Right.
But if you did, would Rebel Nell be the? Is that the flagship for you?
It really is. So I'm just so passionate about this model and I'm passionate about the women. I also think in my twisted way, I'm passionate about proving to the world that you can do this. And that it is an uphill battle, but I seem to be drawn to those things.
Love it.
I know. But I really do love it.
A little rebel inside.
Yeah, I know. I know.
No, I thought the name was from the Billy Idol song from Rebel Yell, but you told me no.
That's correct.
Right.
You are absolutely wrong.
Tell everybody what it's about.
So it's... I wanted to name the organization after a woman who was a trailblazer, and I wanted it to be reflective of the work that we're doing. And so at the time, I was reading a book about the Roosevelts, and Eleanor in particular. She was quite an incredible human being, amazing humanitarian, civil rights activist, women's rights advocate, and her nickname was Little Nell, and we thought she deserved a more badass nickname. That's how we got Rebel Nell. And I truly believe that every woman that walks through our doors is rebelling against what life has dealt to them. And we're dealing with like falling graffiti. That's what we make a lot of our jewelry out of.
Okay.
That's like a rebellious art form. So.
And so the people that are working for you there, working with you there, these are women who are coming out of shelters. Is that what's happening?
That's correct.
And usually from sort of some domestic abuse type of situation, or what's the typical or the continuum of
it's kind of there's a myriad of reasons, and our relationship is really with the shelters themselves. So it can be women who are returning citizens, refugees coming out of domestic violence situations, have just been unhoused for unfortunate reasons. So yeah, it's not like there's not a cookie cutter. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So unique situations for every individual that's coming through those doors. And
yes.
Now, are you associated with the actual mission or rescue group that helps the folks, the shelter?
No, we're independent, but we have just such great relationships with them that they are our referral partners.
Okay.
So when we're ready to hire, we kind of send out the APB, and they know exactly who we're looking for. They know about us. And so they will refer women who are ready for this type of employment. And that has served us really well, because our job, the way I look at it, is just to support the work that the social workers are doing. They know these women that, it's so, we've tried in the past where we would go in and interview, and that wasn't as successful. But when we work really closely with the shelters and they refer people saying, nope, this person has put in the work, they've done well here, we think they're ready for this type of transitional opportunity. And then we will interview from those pools, which are smaller, but that works really well.
There was a business guru, Tom Foster, who talks about the time span of what each person is really able to kind of comprehend in managing the thoughts of time span. So entrepreneurs and executives tend to have this longer view of time span, and as you kind of go through the organization, shorter, different views, and the view of time span, really measures kind of where you're good in an organization. And one of the things that he says, though, is he says, you have to be the leader, you have to be the manager up until the point of being a psychologist. And so what I like about what you're saying is you kind of said, hey, we tried it. We kind of tried to be the psychologist of saying, hey, yeah, they're ready to work here, or the social worker in your case. When you're admitting to yourself, hey, we're not qualified to make that. That's you. So like in the terms of the journey, where you are in helping somebody in getting back to whatever baseline normal might be for them.
Yes.
You're a piece in the puzzle, and you don't pretend to be something that you're not, right?
Yeah.
Which is a medical or mental health professional.
Absolutely. And I think that's when you look at the trajectory of Rebel Nell, there's a lot we do for the women, but we also now know where we're not successful, right? Like when we do step into those roles, even when they're working with us.
Sure. Because they bring the whole person to work with them.
Oh yeah. And that's part of what we do. Like we're a very transparent organization. We understand the challenges, but we now know that we need to find other people who are qualified, where those are the mistakes we've done in the past. And the business has really faltered because we put a bunch of us who didn't know what we were doing trying to solve that problem. So I think that's just been an amazing learning lesson to, know your role. And
do you have an example of what went sideways from maybe overstepping?
Oh my gosh.
Was,
I think in 2016 in particular was such a really challenging year on so many levels. The business almost folded because we had spent so much time on the supportive services. I know we had one of the Rebel Nell kids. That's what I mean. Like we employ the mom. There was a stabbing involved, and we got heavily involved in that. We've paid for legal fees to another person was unlawfully, and they actually arrested the wrong person. But when they don't have the funds to help pay for that, we stepped in. We've relocated a family to ensure that the son got out of the gang life. I mean, that's a lot of expenses.
Wow.
And that was just 1 year. That was literally just 1 year. But all of our energy was there, and not a second was spent on selling anything or growing the business. And that's where we almost completely crumbled because we didn't have the knowledge of the appropriate way to deal with that.
Sure. And you took your eye off the mothership, right?
Yeah. And then that's when we had to have a really, a tough conversation of how do we keep this going, if at all. And we had to find a way to get those supportive services covered, but not under the business side. So it was kind of the launch of the nonprofit T, which that's a whole other story. But we launched T to kind of move the transition, the supportive services there, and then it would be protected. But then that allowed us to, because we realized if we don't have a company, we can't help anybody. Right. So we had to shift the focus, and that's what we did.
Got it. So talk about the funding mechanisms for this. Now, is it all funded by the sales that you make?
Yeah.
No outside donations, no outside government agencies or anything like that?
Nope.
So you're gathering up materials throughout the city?
Yep.
Repurposing them, making jewelry and other items.
Yep. Selling
them online and in person?
Yep.
Okay. And that's funding paychecks for the employees?
Yep.
And enough left over to keep the organization running?
Yep.
Okay.
In theory. No, I'm just kidding. No, yes, that's the model of the social enterprise is that we eat what we kill. Like we are self-sustaining. We really are. This is when I said earlier, it's like, that's the hill I'm dying on, is like showing the world that you can do this. You can put people and planet and profit all on the same level of importance.
That's the triple bottom line piece.
It's triple bottom line piece. And it's really challenging. It's really, really hard.
Sure.
And, we've struggled the past couple of years. I think we had some curveballs that we would have, if they weren't there, it would have worked. But like last year, we had a break even year, which was amazing. And so I think like we've tilted the formula. Every year there's been that's business, right? There's always some unique challenge. Like right now, the tariffs are holy hell, trying to navigate that. But that's the plan, is that we're sustaining our own selves.
Do you ever team up with any corporations or anything like that to get the exposure? How do you?
Well, that's a big part of our business right now. Is huge part. So it's not only the jewelry making, but we do a lot of corporate gifts.
Okay.
And actually, where we're finding it's a great avenue for us is really going into the corporate side of things, because the corporate gifts we're providing something that everyone's looking for, something meaningful, impactful, and that they're going to keep. So it gives you brand longevity.
Right.
And then on top of that, we offer mural making experiences. So we come in and we'll make a mural with your team in a very experiential way.
Oh, okay.
And that mural will hang in your office. And then we can kind of take the remnants of that mural. So it's kind of hard to explain on a podcast, but everyone will create a mural and there will be a hidden message whatever your team is working on. Maybe it's your logo, maybe it's something else. So we'll reveal that at the end, but then we can take those remnants and turn that into the gift. So if you have a team building or something like that, it's a perfect bow on the whole
Give an
experience.
example. We'll should pop up on the screen.
Yes, Jackie. Maybe if my team got up. If you go to rebelnell.com and go to experiences, you might be able to find it. And now we're leaning even more so into bigger corporate experiences we can make stuff on site. So we just did this at South by Southwest and it was hugely successful.
The mural's getting done on site.
On site.
You're bringing all the materials and everything to make that happen.
But then we can have all of the attendees at a big festival can come up and make their own piece on site. So this is an example. Yes, you can scroll down. Let's see what we've got here. I know this page is a work in progress. So, okay, there's a good example. This was for, this is going to go quick. That we did for the Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
And we turned that giant mural into gifts that were given to Children's Hospital for childhood cancer awareness. That was her 40th anniversary. So you can see how the 40 is carved out. That's go gold. That's carved out. So the remnants of that is what we did for Ally Bank. We turned that into bracelets. So yeah, that's.
So is the company paying for the time for you to come out, and then they're paying for the items that get created as well?
You got it.
Okay, great. If there's a business owner or a business leader watching this, is there something you want to tell them about it, like in terms of budgets or anything like that?
The ultimate connectivity. Like I think that's so much what teams are needing right now, and that's why we're selling these like crazy, because we're just bringing this unity experience where people are making something, and then to have a keepsake that's part of that team building experience has been really, really awesome. And like price range starting at like $950 and goes up depending on the size and the team. But it's been really, really popular. And then that other thing.
So are they cutting up the mural to make the remnants?
Yeah, we can do that right on site.
So it goes away after you create it?
No. So there's just the mural itself stays, but you'll see how it's like the white space. So when it said that one that said 40 years, right? That was stuff that we had peeled off.
Ah, gotcha. So those are the release pieces, the remnant pieces. I got it. Okay. I think it'll make sense as people see it. I was like,
visit the experience pages. And then
we'll pop it up here too.
We can also, make it right on site. So that was the coolest thing at South by Southwest, which was a dream come true. But at the MEDC, paid for our team to come down, and 500 attendees got to make their own pin using Detroit graffiti, but they got to make it in the shape of Michigan. So your pin will look totally different than somebody else's, but that's way better than a premium item.
I hate like spending money on something that's considered a tchotchke, which to me says throwaway.
Totally.
It
and
has
it's
to
1
be something
second that they're going to mean it.
That somebody's using it and keeping it.
That is our sweet spot. So we answer that call.
Okay, good. Well, I think you have a customer lined up here. So
perfect. Business development. Love it.
No kidding. Okay. So now I am going to charge you that $20 that I mentioned.
I've been hearing a lot lately about the knock. When an employee knocks on your office door and says, "Got a minute?" and you immediately know it's some sort of IT incident. But Oxium IT can help. Whether you're having a problem, need consulting, an upgrade, or a managed IT approach, they focus on preventing cyber attacks and proactive solutions that deliver results. My friend Matt Loria and everyone at Oxium are ready to help before or after you get the knock. Visit Oxium.com and let Oxium IT help you outsmart chaos.
What other community needs do you feel like obviously I shouldn't even say it like this, but you're meeting so many community needs. The need for that congregation, for a place to get together, that was totally lacking in the specific. You live in the Boston Edison district in Detroit. And so why don't you explain the different districts of Detroit for people who might not understand?
Sure.
Maybe the villages and the areas, the regions like that.
Yeah. Everyone knows the downtown, right? There's the downtown Detroit where a lot of development has happened, and it's really remarkable what has happened down there. But then there's the neighborhoods, and a lot of people, what they don't realize is how big Detroit is from a landmass perspective. You can fit, New York City, San Francisco, and Boston all within the outline of Detroit. Like that's how much space we have. And we only have like 650,000 people. You compare that to, just what Manhattan has
Sure.
alone, right? And, fact check me on those cities, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
And the state of Texas. Right?
Yeah, just throw it in just for exaggeration. So we have all these incredible neighborhoods, but they're really spread out. And Boston Edison is one of the very historic neighborhoods in Detroit. It's really cool to visit over there just to see the history and the homes. That's where Henry Ford had a house. Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown, had a house. There's the Fisher House, which was for Fisher Body.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of these early entrepreneurs of Detroit, because Woodward was the first highway. I don't know if everybody knows that, but that was the first highway in the U.S.
I did not know that.
There you go. It's highway number 1. So they built their homes off of Woodward. And as the neighborhood goes from Woodward, and then the houses kind of get smaller the further you go down. So really, I could be wrong, so nobody get mad at me for this, but I think it's like Woodward to Linwood is how I would define Boston Edison, and then from Boston Street to Edison Street. And the houses, they start with, there's the founder, and then it gets down to like mid-level management, or, like C-suite, mid-level management. So the houses kind of get a little bit smaller as it goes. But it's just a really cool neighborhood to visit and to see a lot of the history of Detroit right there.
And you've just kept it hyper local too, right? I mean, your business, so your home is there.
My home is there.
Rebel Nell is there.
The congregation's 2 blocks from my home. Yes.
T right there as well.
T is very, very close. That's over in Holden Street, so about a mile.
Okay. And then the pizza place is right on top of it.
Yep.
It's right at the rectory of next to the church.
Right next door to the congregation, yes.
Okay. Wow. It sounds like you've got a model, though, especially with Rebel Nell, that's scalable. I mean, have you thought about taking this other places or?
Yes. We are. We were really expanding prior to COVID. We had like boots on the ground in Atlanta, Chicago, a little bit New York, and then Miami. COVID brought it all back. And then sort of the strategy now has been growing the brand in Michigan first, like taking over the market share here or growing the market share here. So that's really been the strategy, at least for the foreseeable future, is starting to expand. I'd love to go to Grand Rapids, maybe Ann Arbor.
Okay.
Go there first, and then we'll revisit Atlanta because I love Atlanta.
I guess the thoughts that I'm having on it is that and again, in your world, we don't use the word profitability, but what is the word you use when you have, is it retained earnings or anything like that?
Oh, no, we're shooting for profitability.
So you shoot for profitability.
Yeah.
So you're not a nonprofit?
No.
Okay.
We're an L3C, a limited low profit liability company, but treated like an LLC.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for clarifying that. Once you get the model solved here, right, and you can get this thing just a little bit more above water, some of your services that are more scalable, like your back office services and things like that, those will be able to be centralized.
Yep.
You won't have as big of startup costs, things of that nature. So I can see where you probably have your sights set to do that, because you don't seem like you're sitting still.
No, but I'm ready. I'm ready for the world to know about Rebel Nell. Like, I think you go through these ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship, and you go through periods of doubt and do I really have something? And you have to be, no matter how many supportive people you have around you, I think ultimately you have to believe deep down in yourself.
Oh, no question.
And that can be really challenging sometimes.
Yeah, especially after a few body blows, it can be real challenging.
Yes, and we've gone through a lot of body blows. I say if someone's been around 10 years, they've been to hell and back at least 3.
You bet.
A minimum of 3. And those are, to get up in the morning and say, no, heck yeah, I could still do this.
Yep.
Takes a strength that you don't even realize you have.
But I mean, when you think about, you came from that sports background, right? And it was just at an event put on by Cranes, their family business summit, and there was a person speaking there. I believe it was Nate Forbes who said this. He said hire athletes, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean, or maybe it might have been Frank Rewald. But one of these guys, obviously, both really successful guys, hire athletes, and he doesn't mean that they have to be athletes, but you have to hire people who understand how to lose, get up the next day dust it off and be a winner again. How to put in the discipline to getting things accomplished. And so they said, hey, look at people who did music, look at people who did sports, look at people, and all in the pursuit of, as Patrick Lencioni says, finding the ideal team player. Yep. Right. But you got to have that attitude, though, to be able to pull yourself up and go. You have to. You got to dust yourself off. It's like I've always admired closers, bringing it back to baseball. But man, you have to have a short-term memory because you got to go back out there. You could have just blown the game of your life. Yep. You got to dust that shit off and go back the next day. You don't get to be a starter and get some days off, right? You gotta go back and do it all over again. The other people that I love to look, or the other thing I'd like to look for on resumes, is hiring people who've worked in restaurants. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if you can manage people, that is without question to me the most transferable skill. Like people are horrible. We hired a young lady here once who was working at Starbucks, and I used to go to Starbucks every day, and I would get the same thing. I would get a venti decaf Americano with 1 pump of the hazelnut syrup. And one day I decided to order the grande size, which in real English it means medium. Okay, and so I show up at the window, and the other person who was working at the window hands me the large size. And I said, what's this all about? And the young lady who we had hired sticks her head out the window and she says, I heard it was you. I saw your order. I knew it was yours. I saw that it came in as a grande. I made it as a venti because I know you always get a venti. So I knew that it wouldn't bother you if you got a little more coffee, and it wasn't going to bother the company because I know that having to remake it if we were wrong was going to cost us more. And I was like, good hire right there. That was good. Yes. Good thinking. And, so that type of thought, right? We call it anticipate without assuming is one of our values here. Oh, that's a good one. There's things that you're going to see every day, right? That it's going to feel like lather, rinse, repeat, lather, rinse, repeat, lather, rinse, repeat. But there's going to be, every circumstance has its own unique thing behind it. Because we're serving humans, right? Absolutely. And so the human on the other end of that phone wants to know that we understand them as a unique being. Yes. Right. And that they have unique needs. And even if we've seen it 1,000 times, we got to treat them as an individual. And so if you can get that right in a food organization, especially in an organization like a Starbucks, where it's fast paced and it's, highly customizable type of operation, it's pretty special stuff. So I agree with you. We look at other areas all the time, to see if we can find the right people to join the bus here. That's smart. You're also doing speaking engagements. Trying, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what's that all about? What's your topic? And who are you speaking to? I think it varies. I enjoy speaking about Rebel Nell. I like speaking about entrepreneurship. I think if there's lessons that can be shared to help somebody else skip those steps, it can be really helpful. I know a lot of people did that for me. I don't know. I think for me, it's a great way to help spread the word about Rebel Nell in particular. But are people paying you to be a speaker? Not all the time. Okay, but if you're getting hired to do a paid speaking gig, I shouldn't say that. Cut that out. Yes, they're paying me tons. I'm sure they will. Yeah. But you're very inspiring in terms of everything you've accomplished and the road that you've taken. So there's definitely something worthwhile to what you have to say. What might be some of the talk tracks, though, not just about Rebel Nell? So if someone was going to hire you for a speaking engagement, are you talking about, I don't know, strategic selling? Or I'm making these things up. I think thinking socially about businesses is really important. Okay. I think community development is an area I really like to talk about.
Sustainability in business is another area I really enjoy speaking about, because I think that also means, thinking sustainability, not just in the environmental part of it, but also with your staff, like making sure they continue to show up, or like, what does that mean for your culture? I think those areas I feel very comfortable speaking about.
You ever thought about getting an agent or, doing the National Speakers Association or anything like that?
I haven't. Maybe I should.
Do you know Josh Linkner?
Yes.
You should talk to Josh. So Josh owns a company called Impact 11, where they actually train.
I know the name.
They train speakers. Okay. So Josh, ultra successful entrepreneur, built and sold a number of companies and venture capitalists and everything like that. And so anyway, this is a really neat company that he has. It was just shown to me from a friend of mine who was actually on the show too, Scott Schonenberger from Blue Water Technology Group. So Scott said, "Man, if you know anybody who's looking to become a speaker, that's the place to go.
Okay,
they'll train you up on how to do it." So there's
Appreciate
your free commercial, Josh.
Yeah, another sponsorship.
But we'll be reaching out to him. You said a lot of people helped you. I know you mentioned Jordan Field, your boss at the Tigers. Who else?
I had some great bosses at the Tigers, I will say. Like Steve Harms was another great boss that I had, who knew my passion was really to get on the baseball side of things. And while I wasn't, this was at the time when I wasn't really on the baseball side of things. I was on the corporate sales side of things, but I took this opportunity and, went up to Dave Dombrowski and said, "Hey, how do I get to be more like you? How can I get more involved?" And he said, "Okay, well, we'll get you involved in arbitration." It was a heavy year for arbitration. And that was not within my job description. Cause again, I was a director level at that point in time in corporate sales. I went and talked to Steve Harms and he's like, "I support you. I think this is amazing. You have to do it off hours,
right,
but have at it." And I don't know, he's always amazing. Still is amazing. Cindy Paskey, another woman I admire. She's the founder and owner of Strategic Staffing Solutions in Detroit. I mean, a legend. And she's been an amazing mentor for me. Like, she gave me one of the so many life lessons, but I remember in a particular time when things weren't going well. And she looked me dead in the eye with her partner, Paul, and said, "Why don't you believe in yourself the way that I believe in you?" Man, did that set me straight. And I don't think had I not had that conversation, or had she not, I don't know if I'd still have a business to talk about right now.
I heard somebody say, when you're mentoring someone or coaching someone, the one real trick is the mentee, the coachee, has to want it more than the coach.
Yeah,
does,
for sure.
Right? But sometimes the belief, as Cindy pointed out to you, the people on the outside are seeing the belief. You're struggling, you're going through it, you're living in the messy middle. Right?
Yes.
And they can see it. So having that reminder is a big deal.
Yeah, it was one of the most pivotal moments of my entrepreneurial journey.
Well, we'll have to get Cindy to do a BLTNT podcast episode. So that'll be your homework for this evening, if you're willing to take it on. Kind of life behind the hustle is kind of the next thing I want to talk about with you, which is you got a lot going on, 4 businesses. You got a family, you got your son, you got your husband. Is there a cost to entrepreneurship in your life, or is it a symbiotic, coexisting organism?
I think, this is one of I don't believe in the word balance. I don't think that word exists. It's certainly not.
Yeah, I just think it's all life, right?
It's life.
It's just the life we've chosen, or that's chosen us.
Absolutely. Like, no, we chose this life. Like, we have to take responsibility for that. And I look, you got to look at more of the totality situation. Some days, weeks, or periods, I am a kick-ass CEO, but maybe a shitty mom, right? Or I'm not always there, or, I could be there more, and vice versa. So, just like the totality of everything, like, am I doing the best I can? And more than likely, the answer is yes. And I think I've gotten really comfortable with that. I'm also very fortunate that I'm married to an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it a lot easier, who understands the chaos and the struggles. I joke all the time, like, if I married somebody else, I would have been divorced a couple times by now, because it's really challenging. It's a tough life. You're gambling a lot with what you have, what you've built as a family. But that trust, and, he always reminds me, he's like, look, life is in many ways a game, right? And it's how you play it every day. And I think that really helps me.
So what's his name? What does he do?
Antonio Luck. He's originally from Brazil. He came here, got a full ride. It's fascinating. He came here, got a full ride to go to Wayne State for his MBA. And he's also a civil engineer in Brazil and a lawyer in Brazil. But he came here and he worked at some startups. He was the MEDC, then worked at Delphi. That was kind of a spin-off company.
Mm-hmm.
And then he may have gone, I can't remember the trajectory, so I could be getting this wrong. But then he opened the Detroit office of Endeavor, a nonprofit that's dedicated to helping scale entrepreneurs.
Scale entrepreneurs in South America?
Nope. In
this area here.
So in this area. So Endeavor is a global nonprofit started in Argentina. Fascinating. Highly encourage you to look up this organization, that they come in and help scale entrepreneurs. Are really, for the economic development. I know that this one statistic is very interesting because they do it through global mentorship. It's not just local. And it's hard to become an Endeavor entrepreneur. And they really are looking for those gazelle type companies. But in Argentina, Endeavor entrepreneurs single-handedly raise the GDP by 1%. Like, it's really phenomenal. And they're all over, mostly known for going into underdeveloped economies and areas.
Okay.
And Detroit was only the first or second office that they opened in the U.S. Please fact check me on all of this.
You're right. Yeah, we don't fact check here at the BLTNT podcast.
But they were one of the few. Now there's a lot more, but and so he opened that office, and then after let's call it 5 years, he left to start his own VC fund called MatterScale with several other former managing directors of different Endeavor offices around the world, and they primarily invest in Latinx companies. So he's doing that as well as helping get the rectory open. He's now a general contractor too.
Great. Is he traveling a lot too?
No, I'm the one traveling more now. He used to travel all the time. So we've kind of switched that role.
Why are you traveling?
A lot of it for work. I do a lot of, I attend a lot of events and conferences trying to get the word out about Rebel Nell. In fact, I'm going to Women's Presidents Organization conference tomorrow.
Where's that?
In San Antonio.
Okay.
And then going to the EO women's event in Montreal in June. So
do you have customers? Does Rebel Nell have customers outside of Michigan then?
We do. But that's more on the corporate business side.
I would imagine so. But is that growing with the travel that you're doing, the speaking on it?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
What else are you doing to grow that? From the outreach standpoint, right? I understand that you're doing multiple lines of business, but what about from the marketing standpoint? Because what you're doing when you're traveling, I mean, you're the biggest proponent of the organization. So that's the top marketing that you could be doing.
Yeah.
What else is being done to market the organization?
I mean, just like, with any retail brand, we're really in the social media space, digital advertising space. Opening retail stores has been part of the marketing strategy to get us into different markets. I mean, we are trying it all. If there was a formula, I could tell you, actually, this is what I would say works. My life would be a lot easier.
Do you have somebody that you're modeling after those, or somebody that, and maybe it's not a one-for-one exact, replica or anything like that, but is there somebody that you're following after and saying, okay, that worked in this industry. This is what I'd like to do.
Kind of, but I also think that we're so unique. There isn't an exact, I mean, there's a lot of people I respect and like, I'm a big fan of Alex Clark and Bon Bon Bon. I think they're amazing, and watching her retail strategy. We have similar customers. So if I know she's in an area, that will also like help me make a decision about should we try in that particular area. I think the world of her. But, we're certainly unique. And also, I think Detroit's just unique as well. Because we don't have a strong, retail infrastructure. The last, it's like the retail company to actually come out of Detroit was Carhartt 100 years ago. So that's, we are in many ways carving our own path and don't have a lot of people to look up to. I mean, Shinola, of course, has come into Detroit and they put us on the map, and that's been great, but that's kind of a different, it's in many ways different.
Sure.
So no, yeah. I think Melissa from the Lip Bar is a badass, what she's doing too, but her model is very much focused on the wholesale side of business. And we did that. Now we're leaning more direct to consumer.
Got it. Talk about the this young DJ that lives at your house.
I'm also a momager. That's definitely a title I didn't want. But my son is a DJ. He's 9 years old, loves house music. And he plays lots of gigs, kids gigs. I mean, they're smaller, but it's really cute. And his name is his Instagram handle is like DJ Radical Me. Okay. And he came up with it all on his own. So it was really cute. A lot of these little parties he was doing, we were setting up for him, or, he'll play Small Business Saturday for me. I put him out in the alley and have him play at Rebel Nell.
We're closing this episode with some music from DJ Radical Me. Okay.
And I got a text one day. I was like, "Hey, are you the booking agent for DJ Radical Me?" I damn near fell out of my chair. Like, it was the funniest thing. So yes, he lined up and he played like the neighborhood Halloween party.
Yes, I also help him with his homework. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's really cute.
We had talked about something when we were chatting the other day, and it was comparison culture. So you've got this enterprise that you've got 4 enterprises that you're building, and that you could go into corporate America, make more money, kill it, do all sorts of things monetarily.
Yeah.
And you're that some of your rewards financially are going to come from the organizations that you're doing. I think they are. So I have that belief. You're not there yet where you ultimately would want to be, but how are you dealing with the comparison culture, right? How do you wake up in the morning and say, well, I'm fighting the good fight and I'm doing this, but you might want something that somebody else has that's at your stage of career and whatnot.
Certainly. I mean, there is a lot of sacrifices. But you can't wake up every day and think that way. I think that's, I did go down that road, right? Mm-hmm. Constantly like, oh man, my buddy right now, I know what they're making and think about where I could be salary wise, but you could also be like, well, maybe I would have been laid off, or whatever the case may be. I think, going to that thought process of abundance, as you mentioned earlier, is so important. Keeping your head straight. And this is me talking after many, many years of like figuring it out, riding the roller coaster ride. But now really like having gratitude in the morning for what I do have has been a game changer for me. Mm-hmm. You can look at the world 2 ways, right? All the things you don't have, all the things your buddy has that you don't have. Or you can just change it to be like, I have so much. Mm-hmm. I have my freedom. I can choose the 80 hours a week I work.
You're impacting lives too.
I love what I do. And sometimes that is more than money. Because a lot of these people I meet, I was recently got together with a bunch of college buddies, and one of my friends is making an ungodly amount of money. as a lawyer, and he's miserable, like miserable. And I'm like, yeah, I may be making literally an eighth of probably what you're making. But I love what I do. The ups and downs, you get used to them as you go. The scary financial crises you get used to, you kind of treat them as like, okay, well, I also put a lot of faith in this, in the world, in the universe, that I feel like it is my calling. And if I'm not supposed to do it, the universe will let me know. But somehow every time, and I'm sure this has happened to you, you're like, yep, this is it. It was a good run. And like that day out of nowhere, I'll get a huge corporate order. And you're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, right.
I got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
they're not letting you out.
They're not letting you out that easy. And I feel that really helps the moments of doubt or comparison. But like I just got back from a surf trip that I took sporadically. There's no way I could just randomly do that if I was still in the corporate America world. Yeah.
Good. Well, there was a reason why I asked that at this point in time, because it might have seemed a little bit out of order here. But when you mentioned that Odin has an Instagram handle.
Oh, yes.
Right? And so many of the conversations that parents have, is like no social media till they're 16.
Yes.
Right. And so, obviously he's dabbling in social media with his.
Oh, he's not. He has no control over it.
Okay.
None zip, nada.
Okay.
None zip, nada. He doesn't even know how to get on it.
Okay, good. Well, what I'm wondering is I'm wondering, how are you dealing with social media with kids and, of course, with yourself too. Right? So social media is the place where
that is horrible.
The comparison culture comes alive and well.
Yes.
And I mean that tongue in cheek, but super damaging to kids,
yes.
super rough, but obviously also super powerful for getting the message out.
Yes.
So, how are you managing that? How do you suggest people manage that with kids?
I am not the person to ask because I don't know the answer myself. I know that like we have this, it's just for his DJing, right? And it's, like I said, he doesn't even know. He'll see himself. He approves the videos that we post up there, but he has no control over it. We don't talk about how many likes it gets. I don't think that's healthy.
Nope. I agree.
This is more just for us. We use it as like a time capsule of the events that he's done. And, who his followers are. Like, we never discuss that. That to me is not important because I think that's where the comparison comes in, and that's where it gets really unhealthy. Is you're like, well, how many people liked it? Who the hell cares, right? Like that shouldn't matter. But him having access to it or controlling it, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah. Do you think 16's the?
I don't know what the magic number
age
is. Like, he doesn't have a phone, but I know 9-year-olds that do. And I'm like, why? Yeah. But maybe there's a legit reason. Maybe the parents travel.
Sure.
I think we can't pass judgment. But for me, protecting him as long as possible from that. I mean, he asks every other day for one, but I can't justify the need right now. But, when they're older and they need transportation or I don't know.
You can do it. We bought our kids flip phones, and so then they leave them at home because they're so embarrassed that they're carrying around flip phones. So
get him a beeper.
I'm not sure why we even pay for these
or
things.
pager.
Yeah. Get him a beeper. He's gonna have to find a payphone.
But even for adults, like I think Instagram is a dark little world, or social media in general, right? Like it's easy people just post the good stuff.
Yeah, but I would say, if I'm looking at what's the difference with you is you have no problem talking about the rough parts. About entrepreneurship, about motherhood, about, everything.
Yeah.
So I think that, I think you just saying this in a public forum, which you've said it in many other public forums as well, is that, it's not all roses all the time.
It's not. I think I'm doing a much better job of that on LinkedIn. I do use that as like, I think it's important to be more real, and because this world is just painted it with this rose tinted glasses of entrepreneurship, and you only post the good stuff, but that's not a journey. And if you're just starting out, or people have access to 24/7 news and seeing, the good stuff, but it's important to talk about. Like, no one was just placed on top of the mountain. There's so much that went into that. The struggles are real. The amount of times you want to give up is more than the times that you want to succeed.
You bet.
And I think that's that's the ride.
I think going back to baseball, right? You think about it as though nobody's batting 1,000.
Great. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, think of
And
300
is actually really
exactly.
good. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, some real talk for future founders. Younger generations, they care where their money goes. So, I mean, I think that we're going to see more entrepreneurs like you.
Yeah.
Right. I think, I think you're inspiring for that. What sort of advice do you have for the 11-year-old and up? I'm kidding about 11-year-old, but I was using that as you said you wanted to be in the MLB at 11. But what do you say to the younger versions of Amy Peterson?
You're going to be okay. Deep breath. I think that the world is so much more anxious now than it ever was before. And just from an entrepreneurial journey, get an accountant early. Looking
there you go. Point to that camera.
That's the one. Get an accountant early. I think that's been like the number one mistake I've seen so many entrepreneurs make is everybody thinks they can do QuickBooks on their own. And you can for about 5 minutes. And then you won't even realize what you screwed up and you're going to have to find an accountant to fix it later.
Mm-hmm.
So that honestly is like one of the biggest lessons that you can kind of cut off at the pass. But also, I do think you're right. I think, and my hope is too, that there are so many more social entrepreneurs on the rise. And I love this new generation. Every generation gets more intelligent and asks questions and wants to know where their dollar goes and wants to have that impact. And the humanness that's coming gives me a lot of hope. And I think that you can do both. That's the important thing. You can. And I hope in some ways that I'm learning and failing fast and learning and failing fast in an effort to maybe help the next generation. Good
deal. What are you reading or, who are you listening to that's kind of helping shape your thoughts and maybe some of your direction as of late?
What did I just read something. In fact, I've made it like a big effort to get back into reading. I haven't read in a long time. I listen to a lot of podcasts about, how I built this is my go-to. I think that's fascinating. And I read a lot of historical books. I like learning from what has happened. I mean, Eric Larson's one of my favorite authors of all time. His book about Winston Churchill got me through COVID. I think getting perspective is one of the greatest gifts we can have as leaders. Because, here he was in such a defining moment in world history and having to make decisions when the city's being blown to bits. And I was like, okay, so my day's maybe not that bad. Yeah, so just giving that perspective and what is the name of that book? Have you read it?
This is Eric Larson's book?
Yes.
I'm looking right now to see. By the way, not to be confused with Eric Larson, who was
from DDP?
Was on our show. No, there's him.
Oh.
And then there's also Eric Larson, who was on the BLT and T podcast from Northern Michigan. He's the Vistage chairperson in the Harbor Springs, Petoskey area.
Oh, look at that.
So there's a lot of those guys floating around out here. So we got
Splendid in the Vial. Figured it out. Beat you to it.
Splendid in the Vial. Narrated,
great book.
If you're buying it on Audible, narrated by John Lee, by Eric Larson, a saga of Churchill family and defiance during the Blitz.
Great book.
Love it. Okay, I'll put it on my list. I just downloaded today the Charlie Munger, Poor Charlie's Almanac.
Oh, cool.
So listening to that right now. And I have to listen. I'm pretty much illiterate. So
it's hard to find time.
But I can drive and I can listen. So for about 2 hours at a clip, and then I start to fall asleep, got to switch back to music.
When do you listen? Like when you're driving?
Yeah.
Do you have 2 hours every day?
Not every day. No.
Oh.
No, I listen while I'm working out. I listen while I'm we drive to Northern Michigan all the time.
Okay.
So I'm back and forth all the time. So I got 4 up, 4 down
Got it.
of hours. So, and the kids have headphones on a lot of that time and are doing homework. So, yeah, I get to listen. Well, this is great. I think there's, if I'm going to summarize kind of what I'm hearing from you is you don't need to have it all figured out. Just keep going.
Just keep swimming. It's my favorite quote.
That's your favorite quote too?
Yes.
Say the whole quote.
Oh, that's literally it. It's just keep swimming. It's from Dory.
Just keep swimming. Okay.
From Finding Nemo. Yes, it's a deep, very philosophical.
Nice. Well, famous words from Dory.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Well, thanks for being here. Great work in everything that you do. And we'll be listening to a little bit of DJ Odin, a.k.a.
Radical Me.
DJ Radical Me.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, Amy.
Thank you.
Great job.
Appreciate it.
This episode of the BLTNT podcast is sponsored by Oxium, business IT and cybersecurity designed to outsmart chaos. And powered by Juniper Networks. Automate your network with Juniper Networks and the Mist AI platform, the world's first AI-driven wired and wireless network.